So week 8, what we're working on this week is the Hawk material ID and getting the Hawk with mouths. So there is videos, including the one that you're watching now. There is a PDF here describing everything that's in this video, written out step by step. So you got that to look at as well. So the main things here is that I have a mouth chart for the Hawk, just like I had demonstrated in our design class. You're creating and cleaning up a mouth chart for your character. But here are the mouths using the same idea of shapes and the letters and the sounds that represents for the Hawk character and those couple of emotions. Now you can download that and use it as reference as you're working away on this part of the project. But the biggie here is all those mouths have been saved out as PNGs with transparent background. So it's a transparent background, so that when we're going to map this onto a plane on the face of the character, it is going to fit, and the background's going to disappear so you see what's underneath it. So that'll be linked to the face. Okay, so we'll be going through each of these mouths, and again, they're all here. And let me use this one as an example. So I'm going to go to Save Image As, and then it comes up. See, I've already got some in there. I think I actually have this one in already, so we can see. As you go to save, it already has the new heading, new title in here. But as you bring them in, one of the things we can do, and I can give you dimensions, but you can check this yourself, is we can open one in Photoshop to get the ratio. That's going to be important. When we create the plane, we want to make sure that it's not distorted, because I want to make sure that when you are putting these on your character, it's in the right location, the right size, so it matches everybody else's film as well. Okay, so here, if I go to Photoshop, here we are, and if you click on image size, you can go through. So I'm using the smaller one because I've tried this before, and the others are quite big, and I'll demonstrate the next step that as long as you get these numbers in, so it's the right proportion, we can go in and shrink or increase that size to fit onto the Hawk character. But that's all good. All right, so we'll move on to the next step, is bringing these mouths, once you download them, into the material editor. So here's the next step. We got to bring those mouths that we've saved in that folder into the material editor. So I'm going to open that up. We're going to find a material port here that isn't in use. And then we're going to go down to standard. So not down here to bring in a material. We're going to set up a multi-sub object material port. So we're going to go to standard. And we're going to go here, multi/sub object. Okay, so we're going to double click on that. And here we want to discard old material. Sure, let's do that. There we go. And now you'll see that we have a whole range here of empty spaces that we can put material into. But for whatever reason, when I click on these, it doesn't work for me. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to delete all the ones that are here. And I'm not sure if I can delete this one, but I'm going to add one here. And I'm not sure at this point if it lets me delete that. There we go. So I want to make sure that the first one is number 1, because here's the ID, and we're numbering all the material we're bringing in. So each mouth will have a number, so that we can use that in the modifier that will hook up to the plane that these mouths are going to be layered into, so we can animate by number which mouth that we want to have on the timeline. Okay, so there we go. So now what we want to do is we want to bring in those mouths. So I'm going to pick on the first material here, and now I can go back to our old method of down by diffuse here, the small box. Going to click on that so that we can get to the bitmap. Click on the bitmap, and this will help us get to the mouths that we have there. So I've got to find my folder, open that up, and grab one of those mouths and open. So there it is. So now the issue here is that it's got a white background. It needs to be transparent, and that's what these next steps will be. But even before I do that, I'm going to go down here, show shaded material in viewport. Got to make sure that's on so that we can see the mouths when we bring them and map them on to the plane and onto the hawk's face. Okay, so what we need to do next, and let me just go back here. I want to go back to our material. And we can see down here by diffuse, there's an M in here saying that that's that material already in there. What we want to do is we're going to drag this over to opacity. And that's this one here, where it says opacity 100%. And now it'll ask, do we want an instance copy or a swap? But we'll stick with the copy. Press yes. And now that M is copied over here. Once it's over here, if we double click on this, we're going to go down and mono channel output. We're going to go to alpha and switch that. But see the difference here. When we look here, when we hit that alpha, there's the mouth with no background. So the transparency is in place. That's why you go through those steps. So that's just the mouth is the material, and anything around it is going to be transparent. So we can see the face underneath the mouth, and that's what we're after. Okay, so we're going to continue on that. So if we go back here, we're going to go to our, I believe, default, and we're going to add to that. There we go, add. So we got number 2, and we go through that process again. So we go in here, we pick up our bitmap, which is nice. It's finding it there nice for us. So we'll select the next one, and it's good just to do them in order. It's always good, number 1, actually, to be the closed mouth and make life easier, but it's not as important as when we're doing the morph method. But it still just helps us keep organized, and it seems to work out. Okay, it's just a recommendation. So open that up. And again, you can see that it's got that white background, but we're going to go to that material again and drag this over and do copy, double click on this, get down to here, and we're going to go to mono channel alpha, and you can see, there we go. So it's working. So we can see that happening. So that's cool. And now we can go back to default, and we can keep adding to this. So there, you can have 12, or you can add to this in Photoshop. If you want to open up one of the mouths, you can add a new layer and draw a different shape using the colors and matching things up to what was there in previous and the lower level, and then saving that out as a PNG with a transparent background, and you can add and put more mouths if you need it for expression and such. Okay, so that's the method. What we'll get into next is we'll create the plane and see if we can get the mouths on to the hawk's face. So let's make our plane that we can map the mouths onto. So here we go. I'm going to use numbers that I had taken from Photoshop, just to get the right proportion. I think it's going to be too large, maybe way too large, but then at least we got the proportions right, then I can shrink it down to fit onto the face properly. So I know the width is the bigger of the two numbers, so I'm using 22.23, and again, yours may be completely different. It's going to scale to however you worked on the character himself. Let's see, 0.71. Okay, so there we go. So that's the right proportion. It should map on properly. But you can see it's a bit big. So I'm going to go up here and use our Select and Uniform Scale tool and just shrink that down to a size. And once we map a mouth on there, we'll see how it works. So I'm going to bring this over, and oh, my 3ds Max is playing games on me again, but hopefully it won't be too disruptive for what I'm showing here. Yeah, let me get rid of this. So the plane here, I want to level that so it's in front of the face. Here we go. There we go. And we can move it up. See that going. Now the helmet can be in front of this plane, and it shouldn't affect things. So if I select the helmet, I can actually bring that forward, so it should be fine. Yeah, I don't know why I'm having these issues, but anyway, so with the plane connected, I am going to link that to the face. And now I'm going to bring back my material editor and see about mapping this onto it. So there we go. So the mouth's there. Let me see. There we go. That mouth is pretty big. And two, you can see it's white, so that's not working. So what I need to do to make sure this is transparent and is we can see through it, if we go up here to standard next to our front view, go here, go under materials and select the shaded materials with maps. And there we go. So if you can see here now, that mouth is a bit big. So what we need to do is adjust that even more. And sorry about mine messing around here. Oh, a bit big again. Let me see. Pretty good. Now I just want to position it so he has a lot of chin, is my main objective here. Okay, come on. Image. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing this. So that's a good size and a good position. But again, use that mouth chart for positioning and everything as well to double check and make sure that's all worked. But I really want to make sure there's a lot of chin in here. Okay, so now that we got that set up and it's working, we need to set up, we're going to select that plane again, and we're going to go to Modify, and we're going to add a material modifier. So we go down the list, and it won't say material ID, it will just say material. So we'll go there. Okay, so there we go. So there's that mouth, and you can see there's the numbers. So if I do the up arrow here to, went too far. Oh, there we go. So here's the next mouth in the order. So there we go. So that's all working. So it's just making sure that when we bring those mouths in, that this show shaded material in viewport is activated in each of them. And once you got everything set up, it should be good to go. So to animate these, it's animating the numbers. So if you look at the other video, it goes through, it has the audio and everything with stretch with the Material ID mouse. I just wanted to go through this process with Hawk to make sure that we're getting the sizing and the proportions right, and it's all mapping on and we're all consistent. So because I want to make sure that the Hawk is looking the same in everybody's film. So okay, so I'll wrap up on this. And please watch all the videos, look at all the material here, and we can complete the Hawk and get him talking. Great.